You are listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Hielkema. I get to talk to a power woman in green. These women are doing business in a new way, and it's feminine and from the heart. Behind every one of these women in sustainable business, there's a story worth being told. Join me and learn from her road to success and how to incorporate her knowledge into your own life and career. Today, I get to talk to the director of Formula Botanica, Lorraine Dallmeier. Formula Botanica is the online educational platform where you learn how to formulate your own natural skincare and create your own natural skincare indie brand. Lorraine has been navigating the online world like a boss from the age 15 and up. She'll be sharing her wisdom on how to leverage the power of the internet for your business. And if you're interested in starting your own skincare brand, then you need to keep listening to this episode. My guest today is Lorraine Dallmeier. She's the director of the online educational platform Formula Botanica and mother of her 2 boys. Formula Botanica's courses are set up to train students from around the globe to formulate their own skincare products and to become skincare entrepreneurs. Lorraine bought the small Formula Botanica 5 years ago and has grown it since then to be the successful business it is today. Last year, in November of 2016, Formula Botanica even won the Gold Award for Excellence in the Design of Learning Content at the Learning Technologies Awards, beating Lloyds Bank, Sky, Allianz, Aston Martin, and many other multinationals. The curriculum is consistently expanding and the program's popularity continues to grow. Formula Botanica has touched on 2 major trends: the movement towards natural skincare and the growing need for online educational programs. Lorraine is highly knowledgeable and experienced in the online world. She even started blogging at the age of 15. She has grown a blog, Herb and Hedgerow, and created the app Beautycraft. She's an expert in online marketing and rapid growth in the online world. Welcome to the show, Lorraine.
Thank you so much for having me with you. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you. I'm very flattered.
Thank you for being on the show. It's so great to have you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great.
Is there anything I neglected to mention in the bio?
Well, I mean, obviously you touched on the fact that I have 2 young kids, and I suppose that's probably shaped a lot of what I've done as well, since I suppose being a mother is probably my main job over everything else. But yeah, I think you've summarized it perfectly there. I mean, I started in the online world when I was about 15. I was quite a geeky teenager, and I ended up studying biology because that was a passion of mine. And I have developed that further through my work with Formula Botanica, getting really interested in plants and herbs. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster over the last 15 years, basically. But I'm thrilled where we are at the moment with Formula Botanica.
Yeah, it's amazing what you've done in a mere 5 years.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been really, really hard work, but I'm thrilled where we are.
So for our listeners not familiar with Formula Botanica, can you explain a little bit about what it exactly is?
Well, as you said, there is a massive boom in the trend towards clean beauty and indie beauty, and there's also been a massive increase in online learning. And we have combined those 2 things, basically. So when you come to Formula Botanica, you buy an online course from us. You enroll with us because we're a school, and you become part of our school community. And we then take you through your online course, which you study in your own time at your own pace, and we'll teach you how to become an organic cosmetic formulator so that you can produce professional skincare lotions and potions using plants, herbs, flowers, seeds, oils, and all of the ingredients that mean so much to people who follow the clean and green beauty movement.
Yeah, that's amazing. So can you also discuss a little bit what different types of courses there are?
Well, we have 9 different courses at the moment. We're always adding new ones. We have plans for 2 more big ones in the coming years, but I'm not going to unveil them yet. Otherwise, I'll be bombarded with emails from people going, is it ready yet? But mainly, we start with beginners, and our main customer is still someone who hasn't learned to formulate yet and who wants to start their own indie beauty brand. So our most popular course is our Diploma in Organic Skincare Formulation, which currently has over 2,000 people enrolled on it, which is incredible. Yeah. And then on top of that, we have lots of advanced courses, which then take your skills up to the next level, teaching you how to work with high performance ingredients, advanced formulation techniques, lots of different lab skills, and learning how to specialize in different niches like anti-aging or facial masks. So we have, as I said, 9 courses, and we often bundle them together as well twice a year in our big international organic skincare entrepreneur program, where you can buy all of them at 30% discount. So that's our big sort of drive twice a year. I suppose that more or less summarizes all of the courses we have.
So the bundle, does that also touch more on the entrepreneurial aspect rather than mere formulating?
It does, yes. We also include business skills in our foundation diploma, but we also include our tutor training program in that bundle. So you will be taught how to become a teacher, because often when you're starting out with an indie beauty brand, money is in short supply and it's tough in the beginning because you're starting a business from scratch. It's the same in any industry. So we teach people how to teach really profitable face-to-face workshops using our brand, and we give you our lesson plans and our information and all of the history that we have to help you run a successful teaching brand on top of making and formulating products at the same time. So that's where the entrepreneurial angle comes from.
And are there also mentorships and teachers that guide you along the way?
There are. We have a whole team of tutors, and it's growing hugely. I mean, we have 12 members in the team at the moment. So we will work with you as you go through your courses, but it is led by the student. And obviously, we want people to be able to study in their own pace at their own time. So when you come to us, you'll have access to our tutors, you'll have access to our chemists, biologists, biochemists, etc. But the onus is on you to work through the course and come to us when you need us.
It has been 5 years since you took over Formula Botanica and have grown it to what it is now. Can you take us on a gist of that journey of 5 years?
Yes, it's a bit of a roller coaster. I took over Formula Botanica actually it's 4 years. In the beginning, it started at the end of 2013 and we concluded the whole thing at the beginning of 2014. And I bought it as a hobby business. And people who know Formula Botanica listening to me are probably laughing now. It was sold to me on the premise of, you can just do this 1 hour a day. It's passive income. Well, I can tell you, it's not 1 hour a day. And it's pretty far from the concept of passive income because we work our socks off. And so I then started to grow the business by myself. In the early days, it was just me doing the teaching, the finance, the marketing, the social media, the student support, the admin, everything. And after a while, I realized, I want to become more visible. And so I started to research digital marketing in a lot more detail, and I started to get into video. And the big leap we saw in the school was when we started to do a lot more marketing videos. And from that point onwards, it just got too much for me. So I had to bring people on board, and first I brought on our IT manager and I brought on a tutor, and slowly, bit by bit, it's grown, and we're recruiting now. We're going to start recruiting again in a couple of weeks for more people. So yeah, it's been a real journey, and we're very, very far away from that initial hobby business that I took over a long time ago.
Hobby business.
I know.
Yeah. So actually the 5 years, a chunk of that in the beginning was buying Formula Botanica.
It was, yeah. And I was also blogging at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to start my own skincare brand, which is how I came to Formula Botanica. So I wanted to learn how to formulate. And obviously with my biological background, I knew a lot about skin and I knew a lot about plants, but I wanted to start to put that together and turn it into a business because I just had my first son and I really didn't want to work for other people anymore. I've always had good jobs. I've had a great career, really high profile jobs. I've worked all around the world. I just don't like working for others. And I'm sure some people will identify with that. And I struggled with that glass ceiling that a lot of women struggle with as well. And I didn't enjoy it much. And I've worked in big corporates all around the world. But then I saw this opportunity to get out and I thought, I could start my own brand. I could create skincare. Let me learn how to do it. So I started taking the courses and I realized, okay, I want to build up some traffic. I want to build up a following before I start selling products. So I started blogging. I created an app called Beauty Craft, as you mentioned, which was just a fun DIY beauty app. Here, mash some banana and some strawberries together and there's your face mask. And then in the end, then I took over Formula Botanica because I realized with everything I was doing and with my day job and with my kids, I wasn't going to start a skincare brand. So I had to face up to reality. And then this wonderful opportunity came along. So here we are. As I said, 4 years later, 5 years later, and Formula Botanica is doing brilliantly. I'm very, very proud with what we've achieved.
Yeah, you should be. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So you touched on your sons a minute ago, and
Yeah.
your firstborn son was an infant when you bought Formula Botanica. How did you manage being a mother and taking over a growing business and growing it to what it is now?
Yeah, that was a challenge. So actually, I had 2 kids when I took over Formula Botanica. So my oldest son was 3. So he was still at home with me. My partner was still working, although thankfully he worked from home. And my youngest son was 8 months old when we concluded the deal. So, I started this when he was 6 months old. I was still breastfeeding. it was, I didn't sleep at night. I'm sure many mothers will identify with that. I didn't sleep for about 5.5, 6 years, and it was hell. But having Formula Botanica kept me going, basically. It gave me headspace. It gave me something to push myself for. I was taking over this business, and the person I was buying it from was going, oh, it's fine, we'll just download a template off the internet. And I said, no, we are not going to download a template off the internet. We're going to do this properly. I'm hiring a legal team. And so there I was with my legal team and my breastfeeding baby and my toddler. It was a struggle, and I learned a huge amount about mergers and acquisitions, and it was great fun. And by doing that, obviously, I knew that we dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, and it meant that I knew I was buying the business properly, lock, stock and barrel. That was quite an experience. I'm not sure I'd want to do it again with a toddler and a baby in tow, to be honest.
Yeah, it sounds extremely difficult, especially with children and the no sleep part.
Yeah. I'm sure that's something a lot of mothers can identify with. And, I got to the point that I was reading all these books about how to get your baby to sleep. And it probably took me until my second child before I accepted that babies don't sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just going to be part of life. And at that point, I made my life a lot easier. And I just started to go with the flow a lot more. I'm quite glad that we sleep at night now.
I can relate to reading books about getting your baby to sleep.
Yeah. Don't believe a word they say.
No.
Any of them.
Only read them in my most desperate moments.
Yep.
Shouldn't read them in your most desperate moments.
That's very true. That's very true. It's great for marketing, though, if you want to go into the baby industry.
Okay, what are your top 3 tips for working mothers who are working from home?
I suppose it depends on how old your children are, because I work from home now and my kids are 4 and 7, so it's a little bit easier. But I suppose you have to go easy on yourself, particularly when they're young. Don't set too many high expectations on yourself. And I see a lot of students come to Formula Botanica who say, I'm about to have a baby, or I'm pregnant, I'm going to start your course, I'm launching my brand in 6 months. And I'm sat there thinking, don't do that, because it doesn't matter if you wait 2 or 3 years. If your brand is truly special and truly stands out, then the industry can wait for you, and you should take that time to be with your kids while you can. My second tip would be get a smartphone if you don't have one already. That was how I did a lot of my work in the beginning. So I breastfed my kids in total for about 5.5 years. Whoa. No, longer, almost 6 years. My youngest son went to 2.5, my oldest son went to 3.25, and it meant that I had a lot of downtime with them, just sat on the sofa, on the bed, wherever we were in the park. And at that point, you can sort of relax in your head a little bit.
Yeah.
I did a lot of work on my smartphone at that point, learning about digital marketing, reading ebooks, trying to figure out how social media worked, because I just spent hours and hours and hours sitting on the sofa. Get a smartphone. Don't do it all the time, though, while you're with your children, but, use it sparingly. And then I suppose the third point is consistency. Even though you might feel that you can't do as much as you'd like to do, you can still do a little bit. And if you do that little bit consistently over and over again, you will start to see your business build. And you'll start to, create the building blocks, really, for a sustainable long-term business. So don't be disheartened by the fact that you can't do as much, maybe, as the person sat next to you who doesn't have children. Just look at it as part of your journey and just keep building as you go along, but do so consistently.
That's very valuable. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Are you interested in Formula Botanica and their products? Head over to fb.pages.entreport.net/free-training for a free training which will be available from the 2nd through the 17th of October. The link will be below the podcast page as well. If a listener right now is interested in starting a green business of her own and is considering going into the niche skincare formulating, what advice would you give her? And what would her next steps be? And how does she navigate the Formula Botanica platform?
Oh, good question. Okay, so the first thing you need is an idea, and you need to know exactly what sort of business you want to make. And you can do that whilst you come and enroll for one of our courses, because we even help you find your niche on some of our more advanced courses. The key is that you have something that makes you stand out. Because when you're starting an indie brand in particular, you don't have the big budget that the major multinationals have. And believe me, they splash millions and millions at marketing and advertising and PR. I was talking to our PR agent only yesterday, and she was saying that a new brand had launched a serum and they'd flown 15 journalists to Switzerland to the mountains to come and test the serum at a PR event. I mean, that sort of budget is just not available to most brands. So you have to be a little bit more resourceful, you have to be clever, and you have to really come up with a niche that makes you stand out. So if I had £1 for every time someone said to me, Lorraine, my niche is I'm going to target 30-year-old women who live in the city and they have busy lifestyles and they need some organic beauty, then I'd be a millionaire, because everyone seems to go for this. And it's not a niche because you're basically just targeting yourself. But saying that, I'm a runner. I like going out running. And I often, when I'm out running, I'm like, oh, my lips are really dry. I wish I had a really good lip balm. And no one's ever said to me, hey, Lorraine, I've created this runner's lip balm and I'm marketing it specifically for athletes or for people who do a lot of exercise. I mean, that sort of thing would be absolutely perfect. But that's a niche. That's somewhere where you can really drill down to a specific demographic and talk to a group of people who are particularly interested in your message. So that's the first thing I would recommend. And then, come and enroll with us and we'll give you the formulation skills you need to create the brand you want. And you can make any kind of brand off the back of Formula Botanica, because we don't teach recipes. We teach you how to formulate. So we'll give you the skills to create your own unique formulations that you can then use to target whatever demographic it is that you're interested in. So that would be my advice for anyone starting an indie brand.
And why would someone need to find a specific niche like that?
Because if you appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one. And the same goes, look at Formula Botanica. When I explain to people what we do, people stare at me. Like, you teach online courses in making organic skincare and hair care? I go, yeah, it's really, really niche. But hey, look at the success we're experiencing. We have thousands of customers. Whereas if we were online saying, we teach online courses in everything to do with well-being, and that includes eating and cleaning and beauty and everything that goes with it, then I think we would probably dilute that message a bit. So I think the more niched you can be, particularly with the internet, you can reach hundreds of thousands of people if you target them correctly, and you can be very successful with it. So don't be scared to niche down as much as you can, because you might be surprised to see the success that comes off the back of it.
Interesting, thank you. Another interesting topic you raised when we spoke earlier is how it's human nature to sign up for courses and then go on to not finish them. So can you talk a little bit how Formula Botanica's programs are set up to overcome this common human issue? And what advice would you give listeners struggling with finishing work or courses or anything?
Yes, that is absolutely online nature. And I spoke at the European Association for Distance Learning conference in Copenhagen earlier this year, and there were all these universities there and business schools and online schools, and we were very different. I was giving a talk there and people were a bit like, wow, you're not an actual university, you're just an online school. But everyone was struggling with the same thing. And so what we do to try and overcome that is we've created a community around what we do. So we have, as I said, about 3,500 students, and the majority of those students are in our groups on Facebook. And we engage with our students on Instagram and on Twitter and on YouTube, and we're all over the internet. But by doing that, people are constantly inspired to continue with their courses. So we also run a lot of extracurricular activities, formulation challenges, all sorts of different quizzes that we put up in the classroom where we get people to jump in and go and do a specific task and share that information with each other. And then on top of that, every year we run a live event for students as well. So this year in London, for our students, we have another conference. This will be our 3rd year. And people fly in from all over the world. We've sold tickets to students in Mexico, Australia, Ghana, Switzerland, Malaysia, everywhere around the world. And they come to London, they come and network with each other, they come and see us, they come and listen to our really inspirational speakers, and we've got some great ones lined up this year. And then they leave that feeling super motivated to go back and complete their course and get on with completing and starting the business of their dreams. So we do a lot around teaching online, because it's not just a course that you buy, you become part of a community. So I suppose that's the big driver for us.
Yeah, very good. There are some common questions that I ask each interviewee because I want to find a common themes when it comes to running a business.
Yeah.
One of these questions is an obstacle you've overcome in business, and how did you overcome it?
That's a really good question. I think for me, I got into green beauty thinking everything was going to be rainbows and unicorns and happiness and loveliness. And the reality took me by surprise a little bit. And what I mean by that is in the last 5 years, we have dealt with hackers and scammers and trolls and angry, jealous competitors and people writing fake things about us. And we have dealt with pretty much everything you can think of. And it's been really eye-opening for us. And every time, obviously you take a step back and you look at it and you think, my goodness, where did this come from? I can't imagine this in the natural and clean beauty industry. But you have to look at every single negative as an opportunity to turn it into a positive. And we have, we've learned from all of these experiences and we've made ourselves stronger because of it. And sometimes it can feel incredibly painful and frustrating at the time when you're going through something like this. And trust me, I could write a book on some of the things we've been through. But you have to come out the other end saying, actually, I took that and I turned it into a positive. And because of that, we have grown tremendously. So actually, I'd say that the things that have knocked us down, we've always stood up again and we've kept going. So that's been the big learning point for me. Don't let negatives get you down. Make yourself stronger off the back of them.
Yeah, that's so great. Sounds horrendous, those things that happened.
Yeah, well, let's not go into them in too much detail because, we have triumphed over everything. And that's the main message really is you can get a lot stronger by the things that happen to you. So just keep going. Be consistent, be visible, be positive.
Yeah, and they may look smaller when you move along in time and you look back, you thought, oh, no, we just overcame that. It wasn't that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And can you please give us a piece of advice that is dear to your heart, something that you've lived by in your life, or maybe someone important to you has shared with you?
I've got 2 pieces of advice, I guess. The first one is something someone shared with me a few years ago, and I've really taken that one to heart, and that has also led to the success of Formula Botanica, is when you employ others, always make sure that they're better at stuff than you. And as I said, I have a history in big corporate, and I worked for a very large oil and gas company where I don't think they took that message to heart. There was a lot of backstabbing, there was a lot of jealousy. But actually, when you take a step back and you park your own ego to the side and you say, I want to employ someone who's better at this than me, because that way I can hand that whole part of the business over to them and I can start doing something else to continue growing the business. That can be incredibly powerful and successful for you. So that's my first piece of advice. Always feel okay in hiring people who are better at stuff than you because your business will become better off the back of it. And the second one is be consistent and be visible. And that goes for every business, whatever you run. I see a lot of brands in all sorts of walks of life start up and then they have lots of enthusiasm in the beginning and they stop. They stop blogging, they stop being on social media, they stop doing digital marketing, they don't send out emails anymore. And I always find that incredibly disappointing because it's the consistency and the visibility that pays off. We email our mailing list, I email our mailing list every single week. There is no failure in that. I just do it every week. We try and put up at least 4 blog posts a month if we can. Okay, we might not always achieve 4, but we keep trying for it. We are on social media virtually every day and we don't stop. And we've been doing that for the last 4 years. And that is part of what's been driving our success as well. So be consistent and be visible. And over time, you will see the results pay off.
Thank you. Those are major.
Thank you.
So life and business are ever changing and growing. People often look up to successful business owners such as yourself and think you've got it all made. That's never going to be me. I think you can attest that one is never really there. As humans, we're continuously growing and evolving. When you achieve one goal, the next is already there. And what are your dreams and aspirations for the future?
Well, we have big plans at Formula Botanica. So we're launching 2 big courses in the coming year. But more than that, the people who follow us don't really see what goes on behind the scenes. So we're growing a massive marketing machine behind the scenes. And it's something that I'm really enjoying at the moment. And we have big plans in terms of PR and relationships. And so we're really structuring the school in a very different way at the moment. Because I hope that, say, about 3 years from now, we have about 10,000 students and we are the green beauty platform for the world. And we're already getting there. But I think we have a long, long way to go before I'm truly happy with what we've achieved. Because as you said, everyone's always growing and you're never at the end goal. And someone, as you say, might look at Formula Botanica and think, wow, thousands of customers and, massive turnover and lots of staff, but you're never there. You're always going continuously. So I hope that 3 years from now, I'll be on your show again, maybe. And we can talk about how we've just enrolled our 10,000th student and, how we're taking over the world with organic beauty teaching, because that's really something that I want to push for.
That's amazing. Love it. So we just talked a little bit about online marketing, and I'm hoping it's okay if we can go a little bit in depth about how you did and what happens behind the scenes at Formula Botanica in terms of marketing and digital online.
Yes. Where to start? Well, email marketing is a huge component of what we do. And I still see people say, does email marketing really work? Yes, believe me, it does. And it is the single best way of talking to people. Because if you put up a post on Facebook, it won't get seen by a fraction of the people that you're trying to reach. But if you target people on email and you're really consistent and generous in what you give them, then you will build up a great relationship with those people. So in effect, we nurture our future students. They join our mailing list and we give them stuff all the time. So we give them informative blog posts and videos and invites to free webinars. And we are just constantly churning out content and valuable information for people. And because of that, it becomes like a reciprocal process. You're giving something to a prospective customer, or in our case, a prospective student, and then they'll come back and they'll think, oh yeah, I remember Formula Botanica. They gave me all that cool stuff. I like what they stand for. And they're much more likely to become a customer in the future. So email marketing is massive for us. And then off the back of that, we use video a lot. So we use big launch funnels where people come and watch free videos. Again, we're just constantly giving away content, and content really trumps everything in e-commerce. You have to just constantly be creating content that people can relate to and that people will value. And then the more you do that, the more people will want to become a customer of yours in the future. So then also, lots of work on social media. We run big free groups, which is very time intensive. I think we have over 12,000 members in our big skincare entrepreneur mastermind, which obviously you're a member of as well. And, we're in there moderating. Like yesterday, we had that post up about a brand, we won't go into too much detail, in the US, who've created a rather controversial lipstick. And they're rather critical of the current US president. And I was in the group full-time moderating that thread because it got really heated. And we employ someone to run that entire group for us as well, because we know, it takes so much time. But on the other hand, again, you're creating community, you're creating content, you're creating a really wonderful atmosphere so that people can identify very positively with your brand. So I suppose those are the three main things. We've got email marketing, we've got video, and then we've got community, free communities as well. And we combine all of those together so that we are constantly visible and consistent. Again, it comes back to my points earlier. As long as people keep seeing you and you're very consistent in how they see you, then it will all pay off in the end.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I needed to learn about that, so thank you.
Well, we'll promote your podcast in there as well.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners, or did I neglect to mention anything?
I think the main thing is, if you're interested in learning how to make organic skincare or hair care, we have a free sample class on our website. And anyone can sign up for it. So head on over to formulabotanica.com and come and see what we offer. You'll learn how to make an organic lip balm if you sign up for our free course, and you'll get access to our award-winning e-learning platform. So I hope you come and join us there. And if you're on Instagram, come look us up there as well, because we try and give away free tips and advice on organic cosmetic formulation there too.
Oh, great. I'll also share the Instagram links and other links
thank you.
At the bottom of the podcast.
Cool, thank you.
So thank you, Lorraine. It was so inspiring speaking to you. I really, really admire what you've done with Formula Botanica, and I love all your expertise about marketing and natural skincare, of course. The trend towards natural skincare is major for our health and that of the planet, and Formula Botanica is a major player in this, educating so many people to grow their own skincare business. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. My guess is you learned a thing or two from this episode. I sure did. It's amazing what she has accomplished in so little time. Lorraine has steadily grown her business over the years. I hope you'll take her advice to heart and implement some of the things into your own career, specifically consistency. Head on over to the Power Women in Green Facebook group and let's continue the conversation. Are you interested in becoming a natural skincare formulator? The Formula Botanica Organic Skincare Entrepreneur Program enrollment is open from October 11th through October 17th. This package deal saves you a total of 30% off. You can find a link to the Formula Botanica Organic Skincare Entrepreneur Program on powerwomeningreen.com/thepodcast. Thank you for listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. Learn how to greenify your life by heading over to powerwomeningreen.com. Here you can find the latest green news and the best eco products from my favorite kind business.